Everyone, it's Vikki here from the Authors of the Pacific Northwest, and I have the absolute pleasure to introduce some of you that don't already know them, some new friends of mine, and we're going to talk all about their event that's coming up. So we have Margaret and Elizabeth, so you guys say hi.
Hello.
So ladies, I brought you on for this special episode of my podcast, which is a camera version, which is so exciting because we're going to talk, you guys want to share with us about your Portland event that you have coming up and give us all the history about it. But before we even start there, why don't we get to know you just a little bit for my audience that might not know you? And let's start with Margaret and then we'll go to Elizabeth. And let's start out with Margaret. Tell us just a little bit about yourself, your background, what do you do for a living, all that good stuff.
Haha.
The long list.
Yeah, I'm Margaret Pennard and I do live in Portland and I'm a writer. I've been here 8 years now and came here to start this life of a writer after leaving Washington, D.C. and the nonprofit world. So I've had a collection of jobs to make that possible, but I'm blazing my own trail at this point as of last year. So there's lots of balls in the air being juggled and lots of new experiences and experiments being had. And Jolabokaflod is part of that. Yeah, but the books I write are historical fiction, which is my favorite genre to read. So also what I dove into, and I've got 5 books out for those who are interested in history.
We're going to have Margaret on the podcast here really soon too, because Margaret, I'm writing historical fiction as well. So I'm pretty excited to talk to you about that. Okay, Elizabeth, all about you.
So I'm Elizabeth Mitchell. I have written 2 books. The first one is magical realism romance. And then the second one is psychological suspense, which is now where my heart is. So I'm writing an 8-book series, which is suspense and police procedural. Well, all of the books are going to be different, but basically I actually moved to the Pacific Northwest just a few years ago because health issues and food and weather, and it's better than North Carolina.
Not sister.
How many ways?
Right?
NBC.
I have heard that. It's been really lovely. There's a great writing community, and I've just been able to meet some really great people, as you can tell with Margaret.
Yeah.
And we met through a women's group here, actually. So it was really easy to jump right in. I had changed careers pretty much right before I switched cities. So it was, okay, I was a makeup artist, and then I moved here, and I was able to just go, I'm a writer. And so everybody just knew me as that. So I got to start totally fresh, and I've just been doing it ever since. So it's been great.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so glad you guys are in Portland. I'm north of you a bit, but I claim Portland as my home because I've been a Northwest gal my whole life. And I love that Portland has such a phenomenal writing community, just hugely supportive. I've had tons of authors on the podcast from Portland. So I'm glad you landed there, all for the great reasons, health, be a writer, because it's super supportive for that. So really cool. Okay, so let's dive into the event that you have. And I'm not even, I'm avoiding the name as every
Notice.
We can do it.
We're going to teach me. Okay, so Margaret, try to teach me the name.
Yes, it helps to remember what it stands for. It's Icelandic and it stands for Yule. So Christmas is Yule. Book, Boka, Flood, Flod. Jolabokaflod.
Jolabokaflod. I did
Almost.
it.
Almost.
Okay.
Flod. At the end. More like flood, but with
Oh, okay. Jolabokaflod.
Yeah, pretty much. I love it.
It's on recording. I'm never trying it again though. So that was fun. Okay, so tell us.
Don't blame you.
Because it's quite an event, not here in the United States. It's a tradition. And so you need to do some education with us that don't know this tradition. So share with us first the background of the tradition, and then we'll get into why here, what started it here for you guys in Portland.
Yeah. There's some historical tidbits here. So Iceland being very far from anywhere. It's very expensive to ship anything in. So books were a scarcity, especially post-World War II. And so they developed this tradition of having one day where the catalog of all the new books for the year was published and everyone poured over it like it was the latest news, because that was going to be what they got for Christmas. So the catalog would come out in the fall and everyone would pour over it. They have the tradition of giving each other books on Christmas Eve. So that was like the extent of the gift giving. It wasn't like the commercial enterprise it is in the US right now. So that was just a very special comment on the love of book culture that Iceland has, and it's very literary scene now. They have both folklore culture from like Middle Ages times and the sagas, as well as recent sort of crime noir and memoir and ecology and a lot of really cool things going on. So they have their own scene, but this one tradition we thought would fit with the Northwest because the climate is similar. Like you're dark, you're nearer to the Arctic Circle. You need something bright to open up your heart in the middle of winter or the start of winter. And it's a book region. So yeah, we
really
thought it'd be great.
That's awesome. So how did it get started for you two in Portland? I know you met in the writers group, but Elizabeth, who started this idea to start this event in Portland? And then we'll dive a little bit about the event, but how did it get going?
So her idea, we were having a conversation and she was just like telling me about this Jolabokaflod, which I'd never heard of. And she was saying how much she thought it would be really awesome to do, but it sounded like a big undertaking. And I'm thinking, yeah, we should do that. You're right, it does sound huge. But working in the movie business, I had put together films. I was a director for a while. Don't look up anything I've done. It wasn't good.
Oh man, I'm going to now.
No, I mean, really don't. Luckily, I use a different last name, so it's okay.
I know how to Google.
Yeah, it's probably not as hard as I want it to be. But I told her, I was like, we can do this, okay? We have to find some partners or some people. Let's find people. That's the first thing we should do. And so we just started thinking of like other authors we could get involved, and it just snowballed. It was really, honestly, it was much easier than I thought it would be because people were just really excited to do it. It's a great time for anything really activity wise, and books and independent authors we are not short on in the Pacific Northwest, especially in the Portland area. And we already both had a few connections, so we were able to meet some more people. And it went from there.
I love it. I love it. So Margaret, talk us through how many years you've been doing it. Because after I booked you guys to come and do this interview, I mentioned it in my Authors of the Pacific Northwest group. And someone were like, oh man, I've gone to that before. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did I not know about this? I'm like down the street. Okay, so first tell us how many years you've been doing this and tell us what it originally looked like prior to our pre-COVID world.
Yeah, pre-COVID. Normal life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I started it early in 2018 as the idea. And it was because, I don't know if you remember the Northwest Book Festival, I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
But it was in the square, Pioneer Square, and it was great in the middle of the summer. That sort of went kaput, and there was just sort of this big hole for indie authors because we had library fairs and we had what's the new name? Portland Book Festival. So it was like this huge gap between these types of events, and it was just a big hole. And so that's what I was trying to fill, something that's low cost for indie authors to participate in, because we know how hard it is to sell books, but also like, yeah, but also like have some interesting things that'll pull people in. So it's more than your average like Scholastic book fair.
Which I loved as a kid, by the way.
Right. As a kid,
absolutely.
Yeah.
When it's not your money.
I mean, that was the bonus. Mom gives you like $20 and you're like, this is my day.
It was the best day ever. Oh, I still remember it. Okay.
So that was the need that I was looking to meet, both for myself and for other people, like looking to meet people in the community. The first thing I knew I had to do was secure a venue. So we were at Nordic Northwest. It's this beautiful venue that's a cultural institution. like a little fairyland looking place, and people love coming there. So that helped us out to start. And the cultural part also was a good tie-in. So then we just started contacting people and saying, hey, do you know anyone? Pass it on. Hey, do you know anyone? Pass it on. And had to find tables, had to go out and say, hey, people, how many tables do we have in our garages?
Genuinely, those were conversations.
Yeah, that was our like limiting factor. That's one of the things we don't have to worry about post-COVID, is because it's virtual. The other cool thing is that going virtual, we also get to appeal to a larger range, both for people participating on panels and people viewing from all over. So I don't know if Elizabeth wants to talk about that. Or
yeah, we'll jump in and ask Elizabeth this question. So share with us now the current version, since we're in COVID land, you guys have moved everything on virtually. So my first question is, give us a little bit of a view of what that will look like, all things going well in Zoom land or wherever. And second, how do people find out how to participate? So there's two questions there.
Okay, so I'll tackle the second one first, actually.
Perfect.
So social media is basically our best friend. Advertising is like tables.
Yeah.
We're asking for help. When you're working on a negative dollar budget, because it's just the two of us, you can't really put out like $600 ads in big newspapers and on huge websites. So it's mostly word of mouth. We're contacting some people to say, hey, do you know anybody? Literally, basically grassroots year one, but on year 3, because it's a different format and different people. But I think this year is going to be really great, because the format is, if you've seen any other kind of where they've taken writers' conferences and they've turned them into one-day workshops online, it's like that, only geared more towards readers. So we're going to have 30-minute to hour-long panels, but the idea is that we're going to answer questions that we would be asked or conversations that we would have in person at these events, because often that's one of the best parts, is that we have readers come to the tables and they don't just go, hey, so what sparked an idea? That's a good question, usually an engaging question, but readers are very interesting and they have much more to ask. So we're going to have a panel. My panel, for instance, is on research. So it's on research pre, post, pre-current and post-COVID for crime fiction.
Nice.
So I have 2 authors in different aspects of the crime fiction genre, because that's changed drastically. And I can definitely say that I've been asked about research alone by multiple different people. We are going to have talks on politics, which of course is very interesting. We have talks about scenery, and she has a whole list. Panels geared towards people who really want to know more about our brains, because I hear our brains are pretty interesting.
Oh, writers, we are. There's so many great stuff that you said that I'm not going to even start with, except that I love the fact you're doing panels. You're doing some research stuff, because Margaret and I were just talking before you came on about my whole new vision in life. I'm a librarian. So I'm actually going to be doing a whole thing on the author's librarian starting this year, where I'm going to help authors research, because not everybody knows how to research. So anyways, side note.
It's so funny how people get so intimidated by that.
I know. And here's the thing that I found. Okay, so the 2 things that I found with researching with authors, is that they automatically go to Google or Wikipedia, which is not necessarily the first best place to go to. And second, because of that, they get so sidetracked that they deviate from their writing time. And then they come and tell me, it's so overwhelming. And I'm like, I get that, because you're starting in the wrong places.
The internet is overwhelming. Yes.
And so yes, you're distracted because everything's flooding in on you. And yes, it's taking away from your writing time. And how do you manage all that? So I have this whole course designed I'm working on. I have a mini course already out that got out. So big visions, but I love it, because research, and people do get intimidated by research. And I think it's because they don't know where really the good stuff is that they can get for free. That's not the internet. So that's what my goal is, to help share with that for people.
Surprised.
Yeah, I know.
I've talked to very successful authors that didn't know the research opportunities, even just interview opportunities that are available for free with just an email address. You send you send an email to someone and the doors open and they ask you to email them on their websites. And I'm like, but they go to Google. They don't go directly to certain sources.
I know. Oh my gosh.
So I'm looking forward to your course. We've got some serious interest.
And here's the thing that I found too, is that a lot of authors will tell me, I'm writing crime fiction or I'm doing a memoir, I don't need to research. And I'm like, of course you do. Every genre. Wow. Just because I'm writing historical fiction based in a time period that I don't live in, and I'm deep in research, and I love that part of it, doesn't mean that you don't need to research. Even people that are doing nonfiction, that are doing self-help books, boy golly, you better have that research nailed down, because I know quite a few authors that I've met or I've been in workshops where somebody called them out on their research and it's embarrassing. And I'm like, it's that for you. So anyways, I'm preaching to the choir. Sorry guys, went off topic. But
I love it. I could talk research all day. There's a reason I picked a panel for it.
So we will all get back together when this all gets out launch. I'll bring you guys on. You can talk about how you did research too, which would be a lot of fun.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, so let's go back to the COVID experience. And I agree with you, this whole awesome opportunity, I feel like, with online presence. I helped another group in Maryland, the Right Women's Book Fest that they had. And it was phenomenal because I would have never met them. They're from Maryland. I met them online, Instagram, and I got to be a part with their book festival that they did in Maryland. And now I'm connected with these wonderful ladies on the other side of the coast. Yeah. And so what's so super cool about all this is that they did it, and then they had similar workshops and stuff, and they did on video. So if you couldn't make it to a particular live event, you can go watch it. I'm still watching them. It's just nice that you can just go watch, instead of when you're at a workshop, you have to pick which one you're going to go to, and you might have 3 you want to go to listen to. So this is great. But Margaret, what has been so far the biggest challenge of the shift from a face-to-face event to a now fully online event?
Picking up the thread where Elizabeth left off, the uncertainty, the feeling that we're back in year 1, even though it's year 3 and we thought we'd have stuff to build on, is the kind of the jarring part, because you put in so much work and then you feel like, oh, I can go to the next level, and you're like, oh, never mind, I'm starting over. Because we're reaching out to a larger audience for participants, it means that we're reaching farther to people we don't know as well, past the community. So it's called Jolabokaflod PDX because we're centered here, and this is the epicenter for us, but we've got writers from Seattle and Alaska, I think, and Washington, and we're trying to make it more diverse in that way as well. So we're really reaching beyond our little pond. And I was especially setting out to try to make the panels more diverse in a manner that the Northwest normally isn't. Mm-hmm. So when we started out, we were looking for some way to support Black and Indigenous peoples of color. So we're doing the reschooling work, we're reading those nonfiction books, we're trying to listen to those voices that are telling us what needs to change in the system for justice to happen, and trying to reach out to those people without links to those communities when you're not going anywhere because you're quarantining. It's like a triple hurdle kind of thing. So that's been difficult in terms of finding people, but I think finally in this last couple weeks in the mix, we're assembling, and those final little synapses are happening in the network.
That's great. So as authors, how has been doing this for 3 years, developing this community around you, this event that has tons of historical reference, how has it changed your perspective as a writer? So let's start with Elizabeth first, because she got to rest a bit.
Honestly, the writer part has been most impacted by the voices that we get to meet. Because I feel like I said before I moved here, the only writers that I had contacts with were screenwriters. And I worked on horror movies pretty much exclusively. Not a very big pool of types of writing. When I come here, I'm meeting people who are bearing their souls in all different genres. Memoirs about their choices not to have children, and historical fiction that, like, for instance, hers, where her research involved her going to other countries, not just Google's, not just libraries. It's just, you get to see parts of people that you wouldn't otherwise. And I got to meet a lot of people that I wouldn't otherwise. And those are the people that are basically opening themselves up and sharing bits of themselves in fiction, magical worlds where you can see nuggets of themselves. And as you're reading their books and as you're getting to know them, you're hearing stories, you're getting experiences just like you would in regular life, only you're meeting these people who, in general, we're open. I'm sure you can attest to that. Just in general, we're more talkative. Yeah. And we don't really hold back. And when you're surrounded by a bunch of people who are raw and honest, it's hard not to pick up on some really good writing techniques. Even craft conversations come up, but dialogues really, I think my dialogue's gotten really, I don't know. I wouldn't say better, because I'd like to wait for the readers to tell me that. But I think it's been easier to write, and it hasn't taken 17 edits, because I'm surrounded by people that have been doing it for 15 billion times longer than me. So I'm able to read their work and then hear them talk, and great conversations.
Awesome. Awesome. And Margaret, how about you? How has doing this whole event changed your perspective as a writer?
So I would say it's affected me more in terms of perceiving myself as an author business than as a writer per se. Ooh. So this past, I don't know, 3 of the 8 years that I've been here has been peeling back layer after layer of expectations of what I should be or what I should be doing. And I feel like stepping into this like small role to begin with, and then it expands and expands, of someone who is convening and someone who is like trying to put her money where her mouth is, so to speak, is a way that I've become more okay with having faith in myself. And so, not to be an Oprah session, but
no, this is good.
Putting myself in the arena really makes me feel like, okay, this is my choice and I'm choosing myself and we're going forward with this, rather than, oh, this is a thing I do on the side because I like it, but there's no hope of this ever succeeding. So don't judge me on this. This is who I am, and this is the way I'm going. Get out of the way if you're not ready. So, yeah.
No, that's totally great. And I love the fact that you guys have put yourselves out there. You're, I would say, relatively new to a community. 8 years, 3 years, that's new. You don't have all that same connection that some of us might have had growing up, going to high school, people in the same area and stuff. And you put yourself out there. And I believe the universe, when we put ourselves out there, we get rewarded and we get things back to us. So my world with the whole author thing and my podcast and my courses, they're my side hustle right now. I have a great day job and they're going to have to kick me out, but I still love all this other stuff. We call it the side hustle. But when I try to talk to people about it, a lot of people don't understand how much authors really have to be entrepreneurs these days. They're not just writing a book, somebody's picking it up, they're getting these checks in the mail. That doesn't exist.
More enthusiastically than we are.
That sounds great.
No such thing.
Just pick it up off my laptop. I'm fine with that.
So I call myself authorpreneur because there's so many little different facets we have to do. And so embracing that and believing that's really what we are is so challenging. So I get what you're talking about. So I'm proud of you girls. I think this is so awesome. So tell me, you can have the opportunity if you want to share the same story or a different story. Throughout this process of the 3 years, what has been the craziest thing that has happened to you during it?
It's actually been crazily smooth, which is weird because I feel like most event planning has like so many weird blunders where the cake is falling in your face 5 seconds before you're supposed to be presenting it to the bride. But I don't know. I think we're the kind of people that are probably, they may be over prepared for everything. We've got 4 extra tables. So when we say we don't have enough tables, it's in case people show up or maybe don't show up. And so we're just ready for all the things.
That could have been my math, like maybe.
I love it.
I don't know. The thing is, we start planning this basically the day it's happening. As soon as it's done, while we're packing up, we're already analyzing what went well, what didn't. We send out participation surveys and say, what did you like? What didn't you? Like, let's immediately start working on what we can do better. So we on and off plan for the entire year so that we have fewer blunders, which makes for a little less interesting when it comes to crazy stories, but
that's okay.
Hopefully it makes for an easier transition in the actual event.
Yeah, I think in my case as well, I try to avoid crazy stories as much as possible. So I try to insulate myself from that by, okay, over preparedness. But then again, also like when something happens and we have to pivot, like I give myself space to absorb that and like readjust mentally and be like, okay, that's not how it's going to go. Let's think about it this way. So yeah.
We're different in that aspect. I love a good crazy story.
Oh, do you?
I am all about the one time that I ended up in this one place on Valentine's Day. I don't know how I got there, but then I was sleeping in a car, and that's the best parts of my life, is the parts that end up in books that you go, that doesn't seem real.
Yeah.
Those are probably the most real.
That's the best. And I don't think that not having a crazy experience with this particular event is a bad thing. I think it does show that you're rather successful individuals because you're smart enough to know we need to prepare for the potential out there. I call myself a total control freak because I have to know what's going to happen at every angle, but it doesn't always happen that way. But I have plan A, B, and C. So then if we get there and we hit D, then I can be like, I plan for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we start wrapping up this interview, let's go ahead and do this. Why don't you share with us the dates, because we completely missed that whole point.
All right.
And then also share with us your website and how people can get a hold of the information so that they can be prepared and ready to go. And then we'll end it off with one more question for me.
Okay.
So the dates.
December 18th, 19th, and 20th. Which is a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are working on the schedule right now. The applications actually don't close for another week. So we haven't made the schedule fully because we're still getting people in. But as soon as we do, we'll put it up on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And just like our website, everything is Jolabokaflod PDX. Now, I'm not going to pretend that's a thing you should know to spell, because I didn't know how to spell that. It doesn't even start with a Y.
No, it doesn't.
I know, and when I found that out, I was really freaked out as well. While she tells you the next part, I'm actually going to write it, and then I'm going to hold it up.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm awesome like
Thank
that.
you, because, yeah, we talked about me going on Google to find out how to pronounce it before the whole interview.
Yeah.
Okay, Margaret.
Yeah, so the website, jolabokaflodpdx.com, where you can reach us. You'll find all our social handles on there, but the prettiest account to look at is obviously Instagram, which Elizabeth curates, and that's Jolabokaflod PDX, so that'll be the same. We are very excited. We're aiming to have the Friday night be the sort of kickoff party and have like games maybe and some fun things to anticipate the panels. So not sure, but the idea we're kicking around is having some like trivia for giveaways that will link to the panels over the weekend. That hopefully will be a thing. And yeah, the other cool thing that I also forgot to mention until now was that I work with A Mighty Blaze, which is a publishing sort of volunteer corps that started in March to help all the authors that were publishing books during COVID and couldn't have events. And so they do live author events streamed to Facebook and have thousands of followers and do a really great job with interviews. So they are mostly based in Boston and get a lot of East Coast people. So not our little regional area here, but I'm hoping to pull in some of them to have fun interviews in November, and so that they can point that bigger audience that we're hoping for over to our corner of the world to highlight the Pacific Northwest.
That is such a great thing. And they are doing such a wonderful service for helping authors, because I don't know if readers know this, or everybody's been hit super hard, but independent authors or independent musicians or independent anything has been hit the hardest, because our connection is going and meeting our audiences, seeing people face to face and making those connections, and we can't. So good job. I love that. I can't wait to see that. So
I saw the most terrible, not terrible, like heartbreaking TikTok. Someone was saying, someone was having a sad face, and then the text said, knowing that I've worked for 10 to 15 years on my acting craft, and then knowing that I've worked on 10 to 15 years on nannying and childcare services to get clients on that, and neither of those are available to me at this time. It's just
it's absolutely devastating. I've been lucky enough to work with a couple screenwriters here in the Northwest, and they've been doing these really great Zoom performances. Like they'll sit in their scripts, and then they get actors will be doing. One of them is my good friend in my writing group, and so she had a really great one that was performed, and we condensed it down, and I cut it so that it's all just the actors.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And we're going to show that at an event. We have a WordFest event here in our area ran by my good friend Alan Rose, and we're doing our first Zoom version of it, and I'm the Zoom producer. So we're going to show her play to everybody, and this is so great. And honestly, screenwriters have had it the best, and actors, if they can jump into Zoom, they just have done great with it.
My friend has been doing a lot of those cold reads, and she's had more interviews with people that she's never met, and she is loving this because it's been a while since she decided that she was going to do this. She actually took a break from being an actress, but then she sees all of these opportunities, and she's like, seize the day.
And you know what? That's what we all have to do. We have to pivot. We have to say, how can we use this opportunity? And then it's actually blooming into us meeting people all over the United States. But here's what's funny. We're in the Pacific Northwest together, and I discovered you guys on Instagram. Didn't even know you were down the street from me. How crazy is that? Instagram stalker. So I was like, these gals are awesome. I got to get them on.
Yay.
So Elizabeth, show us how to spell Jolabokaflod.
Okay. So we're gonna try it two ways. If you can see it on this paper, that works. If not, I have it typed up, and I'm gonna share my screen with you. So try number one. Can you see this?
We can push it back just a little bit. Just back towards you. Perfect. Hold.
Okay, so there you go. Ta-da!
Oh, so much fun. Okay, here's my last question for you ladies. What has been the best thing that's happened to you since you started Jolabokaflod? Thank you. Jolabokaflod. With each other, what's been the best thing that's happened to you? So Margaret, you're up first.
The first thing that came to mind is our Tuesday meetings. Because we have this as an excuse, we get together at a set time every week to talk over where we are in the process, but also like vent and catch up and doodle together. Yeah, that's really good.
Awesome. How about you, Elizabeth?
I was literally going to say the exact same thing. It's so nice. We've been doing it for years. We started before we even started Yola. We had a weekly writing date. There, I think, was maybe about 6 months in our whole life of knowing each other where we have not spent like every week at least one day doing something together. So Yola's just made it so that we don't have a choice, which is great because it's, oh, I'm really tired this week. Gotta meet anyway. If it's not writing together, then it's T. If it's not T, then it's Yola, and we can pretend that it was always supposed to be Yola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap it up. So everybody that's been patient, listen to this. I hope you had a great time listening to Margaret and Elizabeth and I chat. And seriously, make sure you get to the website, participate if you're a reader, find your next author that you're going to fall in love with. And if you're an author listening to this and you want to hook up with them, give them a buzz, get on the website, find them on social media, see how you can participate. And we so look forward to seeing you there. So bye-bye, guys.
Sounds great. Thank you, Vikki.
Bye.